Today I have for you part 2 of this yogometry basic warm-ups, basic preparatory position practice. In this practice we're going to go a little bit deeper than we did last time. One of my teachers always said prepare, prepare, prepare. So we want to prepare a solid foundation, and so by the time we get to doing some more advanced posture, like standing on our hands, putting our feet on our head, or even sitting in lotus posture, you've done the groundwork, you've done the preparation, and so there's no pain, there's no injury going into the pose. So that's what all this is about. Again, there's a lot of Qigong, there's some martial arts stances that are integrated into the practice, as this is how I was trained, and I feel like this is the best approach for a solid yoga foundation. So one of the things that I'm going after in this practice is to get you into the squat, because this is one of the basic preparatory positions. However, many people in the Western world particularly have trouble with squatting. So we're going to be going over the lunge, which is another preparatory position. You can definitely support yourself, and the idea is we're sinking into the lunge. Now the idea about a lunge is that, see the front leg, you're already in a squat, okay? So it's a half squat. Meanwhile, the back bend, the back leg, we're training the splits, okay? So the lunge is super important. You know, the lunge is going to take you right to here. But first, we have to be able to squat. So to squat, you need to have length at your Achilles tendon, and you also, essentially your entire ankle and foot needs to be very flexible. So everything in my classes are aimed at developing this, this foundation. We'll do this posture right here, which is extremely uncomfortable for many people because the toes are very tight. But once this pose starts coming along, your body will start to crave it, believe it or not. It's a very strong stretch through your toes. The entire foot is worked, and the ankle. And that posture will prepare you. The phenomenon of just stretching the toes will trigger this kind of holographic, holistic phenomenon throughout your body that will affect every joint in your body. You'll become globally more flexible just by working your toes that way. Also in this approach, we're going to be working the wrists, the feet, and the head very powerfully every time. You have to open the body. To open the body, you have to go from the periphery to the center. We don't, it's like opening a Christmas present. You don't just hammer down the center with a baseball bat. You undo the outer edges first. So it's the same with your body and in yoga. So we're going to start with the hands, the wrists, the ankles, and the neck. So in the practice, if you see me taking my head way back, like in the lunge, don't worry, okay? You don't have to do that. You only go to your level. When I started this approach, I wasn't able to take my head back very far. In fact, I had other teachers who told me not to take my head back. So you're going to have to feel your way into this. And remember that you are always in charge. You're the master, okay, of your own body. So how far you go. But the miraculous thing that happens with your body is it's very Gumby. And once you start working at it, you know, what was really hard the day before, if you keep practicing, it becomes easier and easier. It's like clay, it's like putty. So you can mold your body if you're consistent with practice. Okay? So I'll see you on the inside with the practice. It's always better sound quality if I do the voiceover than try to teach with these things in. Namaste. I hope you enjoy the practice.
Okay, we'll begin standing. You can bring your heels together, your toes slightly apart, your hands on the lower belly. You want to make sure you're dropping your tailbone, lifting up on the back of your neck, relaxing your shoulders, and relaxing your jaw. We're going to begin with a Qigong exercise where we're going to shake off what they call bad qi which is nothing more or less than any kind of stagnant energy that you're holding. So this is really your opportunity to let go of anything you want to let go of, emotionally, physically, could be a tension in your body, and you really want to see if you can shake and jiggle in a way that every part of your body moves. And so there's no right or wrong with this. You just really are just shaking it off. And then we'll bring the feet together and we do what's called the pounding post. So you just kind of pound your heels. And now we're going to stand and just hold the chi. Just sense and feel your energy field around you as you drop your tail, relaxing your shoulders and lifting the back of the head. And now we'll bring down the heavens 3 times. Just softly smoothing the chi down the front of your body, gathering it from the sky, through the body, and down into the earth. Just making that connection. Next, we'll move on to knocking on the door of life, which I explained very thoroughly in the first lesson. But we're basically swinging and tapping a very special point at the small of the back, known as the Ming Men, as well as a point just underneath the collarbone in the front. You want to throw your arms, you want to feel your whole body twisting, and it should feel like a very nice full body exercise. Now we'll move on to some self-massage, tapping the points just underneath the clavicle on either side of the sternum. We're just going to be tapping some points, so just mirror me the best you can. Tapping on the sternum, that's for the thymus gland. Placing one hand on the navel and rubbing the 2 points above and below the lips. And now the full body meridian tapping. We're going to move down the inner arm, up the outer arm, and then tapping the shoulder, going down the back, tapping the kidney, down the back of the legs, up the inside the front of the legs, and again, down the inner arm, up the outer arm, and paying close attention to the shoulders, the back of the legs. This is just to wake up energy flow throughout the whole body. And you can do this anytime. It's a really nice, just enlivening self-massage. And then we'll move on to gently massage in the kidney area, just up and down, just generating some heat in that area. This self-massage practice is very good for breaking up stagnation. Many people are very stuck and stagnant around the midsection. So now we'll just gently stroke and massage around the belt channels and then collect the energy at the navel. Following the massage, we'll just stand in this emptiness posture where we're really just sensing and feeling our own energy flow around the body. And then we'll bring down the heavens 3 times. So just reaching up on the inhale, gathering space, gathering energy, pull down through the body, and grounding out through to the earth. Gathering that energy and holding it at the navel. The next exercise will be the microcosmic orbit. So here I want you to feel your spine begin to move like a snake. So kind of an undulation movement in the spine. You can let the head go. And there's a feeling that you're pulling energy up the back and letting it flow down the front. And that is the microcosmic orbit. And there's really no right or wrong. Just move your spine in a snake-like motion. And then once again, we'll just gather the energy, holding it into the low belly. So today I wanted to show a seated version of doing the joint rotations. Now if you need to sit on something to be comfortable sitting, that's fine. However, it is best if you can sit flat on the floor. You have several options for a seated posture. You can do Sukhasana, easy cross legs, half lotus, or what my teacher always liked is called Swastikasana, where you stick your toes into the backs of your knees. So however you can sit comfortably, either with or without support, then please take that position. And then we'll begin to rotate the head. You can have your hands on your waist. And now we'll change directions with the head. And just moving at your own pace, making sure that you're not going into anything painful, just being very gentle with yourself. And now we're going to change the position of our hands by grasping our thumbs. You can press down on the top of the thigh to rotate the shoulders. This gives a little bit of leverage. So seated variation is a little bit different than standing. And now I've turned my hands over and I'm rotating my shoulders in the other way. Just do the best you can to get optimal rotation in the joints. Now we'll roll around the bracelets of the wrists. Those little lines that are at the base of the wrist, you want to just roll around those. Keep those together the entire time you're doing this. Try to get maximum flexion of your wrist joint in both the directions. Now we're going to rotate the waist. And then taking the side bend. Just relax and enjoy the stretch. And by the way, in my classes I always teach in a mirror format, so just mirror me. Just look in the mirror. You don't have to worry about whether it's right or left. Just follow as a mirror reflection. And now we're going to get into these ankle rotations, and for many people this is easier to do it from sitting than it is the standing version that I showed the last video. So you can interlace your fingers with your toes if you wish for kind of a foot massage technique, but you see how thoroughly I am rotating the ankle, and this is the level of flexibility and rotation that we need to cultivate in our ankles. And like I said, if you want to interlace your fingers with your toes, that is a massage technique that you can practice. Now we'll come to the seat known as Vajrasana, which is just simple kneeling. But this posture is really good for cultivating flexibility on the tops of the feet, which you will definitely need further down the line in your practice. Then we'll come into tucking our toes to sit on our heels, giving that very strong stretch to the backs of the toes. And we will visit this posture later in this practice. Coming back to standing and separating the feet wide, inhaling, and then we'll turn our toes out, and exhaling, we'll come into this horse stance. Make sure you drop your tailbone down, your kidney area is nice and open, and the back of the skull lifts. You can do this holding the tree variation or have your hands in namaste. And here I'm just doing this meridian stroking. And the soft movements complement the strong leg charging. So try to stay soft even though your legs are working really hard. Here we open and then exhale. The wide forward bend usually feels really good after you've charged up your legs in the horse. So please enjoy your forward bend, Prasarita Padottanasana. You can let your head hang. And to come up, I'm going to turn my heels in, my toes out. I'm going to slide up the legs, inhaling, and then exhale, bringing down the heavens, just stroking down the front of the body into the earth. Our next movement is going to be a dynamic stance I call waist churning. So we're kind of scooping forward. The legs stay straight. The arms stay straight as you're scooping. They can bend when you're coming up. And I'm kind of rolling up my spine. I'm going to go to the side, and you want to make sure you do this to your own level, that you're taking good care of your body. Just listen and only participate to the level you can, but this movement is very good for awakening your strength and your energy, activating your core, your center. And here you can either come down and rest in a forward bend, or if you'd like to take a second round with me, I'm just showing from a different angle so you can see what the pose looks like. After our waist turning, it should again feel very nice to rest in a wide forward bend. If you need to support yourself using a block, that's totally fine. And now we're going to move into our side lunges. So we'll turn our toes out. And if you're able to have your hands on your feet, you can work that way, or you can place them on the floor. If you need to use support, then please do so. So we're simply transiting from side to side. Now here I'm grabbing one of my little sandbags to show how you can modify it. If you have a yoga block, which I do not happen to have with me at this moment, you can use support. But the full pose that we're going for is the sitting bone dropped all the way to the heel with the outer edge of the straight leg foot down. So it's a very, very deep, deep stretch for the inner thigh and for the hips. And here I'm going to show it from a different angle. If you wish to do another round, you can. If you need to rest, you can certainly rest by just hanging in a forward bend or kneeling. And I'm showing how you can stay low in your transition. You can keep your hips low when you're transiting from side to side, and that very strongly works the hips. Coming into the wide forward bend, hanging the head. This is our resting posture. And then to come up, we turn our toes out, slide the hands up the legs, inhaling and exhale. Smooth down the front of the body. Next, we're going to come into horse stance, placing the hands on the thighs. We're going to take this twisting variation by dropping one shoulder and turning to look over the back shoulder. So we're pressing our knees away. Do not want to allow your knees to roll inward over the arches of the feet. You want to keep your knees pressing back, and we're using leverage from our legs to make the twist. Resting if you need to, or you can take another round with me. The next movement is a dynamic stance that is similar to the one we did last time, only I'm adding on with different arms this week. So, same as last time, we did the shoulder toward the front leg, we changed position, and now we're going to swirl our arm over the head and then pull the hands into the waist with fists. So this is kind of a combination between the reverse warrior posture and the bow stance of martial arts. And it's a great movement to circulate the chi, the pranic flow through your body and getting warmed up globally. The fourth time, we're going to move on, interlacing the fingers, stretching the hands up overhead into Virabhadrasana number 1, the first warrior. As a modification, you can tuck the back toes. The full pose is having the back foot turned out. You're striving to draw that front hip forward. Now I'm going to come down into the lunge. You can support yourself with your block as I'm showing if you need to. Or if it's not necessary that you have support, you can have your hand on the floor. You want to really open the front of the back leg hip. Taking your head back is optional, but it will help you work into those back bending postures. Long stretch at the front of the body. When you're ready, we'll step back, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Drop the head, straighten the knees and the elbows as much as you can. Down onto the hands and knees for cat-cow. A couple of rounds. Inhaling and exhaling. And then we'll come into threading the needle as we did last week. And then coming to sit on your heels, getting that very strong stretch on the back of the toes. Interlacing the fingers, stretching the arms up overhead. You want to draw the ribs back into the body, open out the armpits. Breathing slowly and deeply throughout the practice. Exhale, we open the arms. And then I'm going to come off my toes and I'm going to sit in Vajrasana, the kneeling posture, getting that very strong stretch in the front of my feet. I'm tucking my toes. Now this is optional. Coming up, you can press up on your toes. you're invited to make that transition. Then just hanging in a forward bend. Aim to keep your knees straight, but if they bend a little bit, it's okay. And then to come up, we're going to roll up slowly. Inhale, gathering energy from the sky and smoothing it down the front of the body. And now preparing for the same thing on the other side. So we'll dip down, and this time we'll go to the other side. So remember, just mirror me. That's why I'm not saying right or left, because my right should be your left and vice versa. So just make sure that you do whatever side you didn't do last time. I'm just giving you another angle, drawing the energy into the waist. Inhaling, stretching the arms up overhead. The option of coming onto the toes, you can see how I can drop into that lunge a little bit more deeply when I do that. And back to the first warrior. Open the arms, exhaling. I'm going to drop that back knee and coming into the lunge. So I'm taking my head back. That is definitely optional for you. Only you know when you're ready to work in that way. Stepping back, downward facing dog. And you want your breath to be smooth and deep. On the exhale, you can draw your navel back into the spine. That's great. That's working into one of these bandha that we'll talk about later. But for now, we're just doing the postures. So inhaling and exhaling for the cat-cow. You want to inhale on the cow and exhale on the cat. And then threading the needle. When you're done, coming to tucking your toes, sitting on your heels, lifting the back of the neck up, base of the skull, lifting that up, and then interlace the fingers. Try to interlace them the opposite way that you did last time. And stretching the arms up overhead, keeping the ribs drawn into the body. Exhale, open. And again, coming through that toe squat, pressing up into a forward bend on your toes, which is optional, and then hanging in a gentle forward bend, aiming to keep your knees all the way straight. Slowly rolling up on the inhale, reaching out behind you, exhale, smoothing the energy down the front. Collecting your energy at the low belly, the point about 2 inches below the navel. And then we're going to step the feet wide and we're going to prepare for the squat, what we've been preparing for all along. So inhaling, we'll reach out, exhale, squatting down. And remember that you only want to go down so far as you can with your heels flat. If you cannot keep your heels down, then I'm going to show a modification in a moment. And there's also the modification I showed with the chair last week. So if you can't keep your heels down, you can fold a towel, or you can even roll up a yoga mat and you can place it under your heels and practice your squatting that way. Again, it's very important to not lift your heels up when you squat. And next time I'm going to show a specific Achilles stretching exercise. So whatever version of the squat you're doing, afterwards you'll take a forward bend, either with the head up or the head dropped. And then we'll gently roll up, inhaling, and press the energy down the front of the body. So here we're going to do our finishing Qigong movements. So I've reached up. This is just like a aura meridian stroking. Okay, you can work on the body or you can work slightly off the body. The effect is the same. So it's however you feel drawn to work. So all I'm doing is I'm going to reach out. I'm going to gather energy from the sky. I bring it down my neck, then down my back of my legs, up the inside of my legs, and I smooth it around my hips and my waist. And I'm going to stand with my hands on my belly, just centering everything. All that movement, all the energy in the movement becomes collected in the center and is stored. So we want to gather and collect the energy of our entire practice and store it below the navel. Namaste. What a beautiful practice you did. Thank you so much for joining me.